guys, welcome to lesson 7, video 1. Here we go. So you see a problem on the board. This is the same problem that is on page 61 in your book. So please follow along as we work on it together. And since it is a word problem, we need to use our read, draw, write method. Let's start with reading it carefully. We can underline while we read if that helps us. On a typical day, typical means just an average, regular day, a grade 5 student takes 24,165 breaths in one day. Oh, that's kind of interesting. How many breaths will you and 5 friends take in one day? Okay, so we have to think about this question a little bit. What is it asking us? What can we draw? On a typical day, a grade 5 student takes 24,165 breaths in one day. How many breaths do you and 5 friends take in one day? Okay, so I don't know about you, but I like to draw a tape diagram. And I think this tape diagram is going to represent you and 5 friends. So how many people is that going to represent? 6. Oops, got to get my pen. There we go. 6 kids. And I don't know if it counts for adults. Do adults take more breaths or less breaths in a day? Let's just say 6 kids or 6 grade 5 students or whatever you want to call it. And then if each one of them takes 24,165 breaths in a day, then 6 of them are going to take 6 times that, right? So 6,165. And once again, we can use kind of the quick method where we just put 6 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can just put some dots. And each of these is 24,165. Okay, because we're drawing it. We know what it means. All right. So let's think about that. Basically, it's 24,165 times 165 times 6, right? Because it's you and 5 friends. All right, now in this lesson 7, we are working on writing whole number numerical expressions with parentheses. We are working on evaluating whole number numerical, means numbers, expressions with parentheses. So writing and evaluating, and multiplying 2-digit whole numbers by using the standard algorithm. So we are working on the standard algorithm, but we're also working on all the different ways that we can multiply. And think about how you could multiply this. What would be the best way for you to multiply this? Go ahead and work on that in your book. How would you multiply this? Would you like to use maybe the area model, standard algorithm, partial products, maybe some kind of a break apart method? Think about it. I'm going to have you put your answer in Edpuzzle number 1 here. So solve it, put it in Edpuzzle number 1, and then we're going to talk more about how we did it. Okay, do that now. Don't forget to pause the video here. Okay, now we're going to talk about how we did that. So let's look at some possible ways that you could solve it. Here are some possible different solutions that you might have done or might be interesting to you to think about. So let's look at this break apart and distribute up here first. We see 6 times 24,165, 6 times 20,000 plus 6 times 4,000 plus 6 times 100 plus 6 times 60 plus 6 times 5. Now, isn't that interesting, right? They basically wrote the expanded form of this, and then you're multiplying by each part. Do you see how that might make things a little bit easier? Yeah, I kind of like it. So 6 times 20,000 is 120,000, right? 6 times 2 is 12, and then we bring all the zeros. 6 times 4,000 is 24,600, 360, 30. And then you're going to have to add all that together and add accurately. And the answer is 144,990. Hopefully that's close to the answer that you wrote in Edpuzzle. Here's the area model. So here you see our 6 times 20,000, 4,165. Once again, expanding each one out to show its actual place value, right? We have 20,000, but we're going to write it as 20,000, just like we did here, except now it's in an area model, and you're going to put your answers in here. You see how those two are similar? And then you're going to add them all together. Of course, this person also had to add them all together. All right, so these two are very closely related, aren't they? Then we have the standard algorithm, 6 times 5, and they carry down here. So there's our 30. 6 times 6 is 36, plus 3, 39. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 9. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 2 is 14. Okay, that's kind of straightforward. Don't need any magic zeros because we're only multiplying by one digit. And here's our partial products. Some of you know how to do this. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6 is 360 because it's really 6 times 60, right? So we have to think about our place value when we use our partial products. 6 times 100 is 600. 6 times 4,000 is 24,000. 6 times 2 is 120,000, okay? And you might have been reading there, these methods are familiar from grade 4, module 3. So you did work on these last year, but it's always good to have a refresher, isn't it? Okay, so those are all different ways that you can solve the problem. And of course, when we have a word problem, we need to write our answers in words. So let's go back to our screen, and here, make sure that you write the answer. In one day, 5 friends and I, or 6 kids, would take 144,900 breaths, right? That should be the answer that you solved. And if not, you also have those answers right here. 144,990 breaths. Well, that's kind of cool. And we talked about all the different methods that you could use. Let's clear that screen. Let's see, can we clear that screen? Maybe not. Oh, there we go. Clear the screen. There we go. Okay. I'll tell you what, in our next question, we're going to move on to the next problem. So I will see you then. Thanks for watching carefully. Thanks for your hard work. Aloha.